and welcome hardworking aspirants, and today we are going to study about Greek invasion of India after Persian invasion. Today we are going to talk about Alexander the Great and his Macedonian Empire and how he took over the Persian Empire and his struggles when he enters the northwestern part of India. What were the reasons that forced him or that brought him to the northwestern part of India? It was money, but there was something else also. And along with this, we'll also see the political importance as well as the administrative and the cultural importance of this Greco-Roman and Indian conference that we are going to see. But before we get on to that, a quick info for all of you guys. If you're preparing for TSPSC Group 1, TSPSC Group 2, this is the opportunity for you. Right now we are running the live batches, and you can call on the numbers given below to inquire for more. We're also giving you a very huge discount right now. Even if you are preparing for UPSC CSE 2026-27, this is the opportunity for you. Straight away 50% discount, and you can call on the numbers given below for more infos. Okay, so let's get started with our class. So in the last class we studied about the Persian Empire, and in Persian Empire we studied that Xerxes, possibly the one after Cyrus the Great and Darius, he was the one who took help of Indians into the military of the Persian Empire and had fight with the Greeks, but he was defeated by the Greeks. And after that we saw that there was downfall of this Persian Empire, and Alexander the Great, who was firstly the Prince of Macedonia. Okay, he belonged to Macedonia, so he being the Prince of Macedonia, later on he will become the King of Macedonia somewhere around 336 BC, and he will defeat Darius III. Yes, Darius III of Persian Empire, yes, will be defeated by Alexander the Great, and he will unite the full Greece. Okay, and he will have a very big empire. By the year 334 BC, you can say that he will unite Greece, and he will come to know about India. He has heard a lot about India from the Greek philosophers like Herodotus and others also, that it's a very wealthy space. If you remember, while the Persian Empire we studied that one of the satrapy, that is the Hindus satrapy, was giving 1/3 of the revenue of what the total revenue was collected from the Persian Empire in Asia. So these stories were always very famous there, and there was one more reason. The reason was the ambition of Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great, or Sikandar Mahan, that's what they call him, wanted to conquer full world, and India at that time was told to be the eastern boundary of the world. So he had started from the west, and if he can win the eastern boundary, that means he has won the complete world. And that is what was the ambition that brought Alexander the Great towards India. And when he will enter the Khyber passes, okay, when he will cross the Hindu Kush mountain, there he will have fierce battle for almost 10 months with the tribal people living over there. So let's get started with the slides also. Let's see a bit. So Alexander's ambitions was in a way related to that the legends say that India has a lot of wealth and desire to reach to the end of the world. This is what we have talked about, that India was considered to be the eastern boundary. So Alexander came here, and when he will enter here these parts, the northwestern Indian regions, if you remember the last class, Persians had already conquered Gandhar, Punjab and Sindh, and they were already the part of the Persian Achaemenid Empire. So this was the next target after Persia has fallen. This was the next target of Alexander the Great. So the preparation and initial advances that he will do will be Alexander crossed the Hindu Kush mountains from Bactria into the Indus Valley somewhere around 327 BC, and he subdued various tribes in present day Afghanistan and Pakistan. Some of the notable tribes that you can see here, stopped him for almost 10 months, and one very famous fierce resistance was encountered, especially from the Asakenoi, whose queen Cleophas led the defenses of Massaga. Now these names, if you are finding that it's not Indian name, it's because these are from the sources of the Greek philosophers. That's why you're finding these names in that way. So one thing we can understand, that he got into fierce battle with them, and for almost 10 months he had to held the resistance of the Indian tribes. And after that he will come towards Tachusila. Tachusila at that time will be ruled by Ambi, whom they used to call as Omphis. So Ambi will surrender directly to Alexander, and he will provide troops and support also to the surrender to Alexander the Great. And Alexander the Great then will move towards Hydaspes. What is Hydaspes? Basically Jhelum was known as Hydaspes by the Greeks there at that time. So there will be this battle of Hydaspes, between whom? It will be between Porus, okay, or the Porva, and Alexander the Great at the banks of Hydaspes or the Jhelum river, and it will be fought in the plains of Kari. Please note this also down, it might be important for you in the exams. So Porus's army will include infantry, cavalry, chariots and war elephants. Porus's army will be outnumbered. They will be outnumbering Alexander's army, but Alexander's tactical moves will lead him to victory. Now here there is one more thing that you should note down. In the Greek books or the Greek evidences, whatever we find that Alexander defeated Porus and reinstated Porus. But in some of the books we find that according to the Indian history, that Porus was not defeated by Alexander, rather Alexander was defeated, and those were the reasons why he had to go back. But nonetheless, according to the Greek historians, it was Alexander who defeated Porus and reinstated Porus again because of his bravery. But after winning the war, now he has his eyes on Magadhan Empire. Yes, at that time the most powerful you can say the territory at that time was Magadha, and there ruled Nandas. And on Nandas also, which Nanda was basically there? It was Dhananand at that time. Okay, the very famous Dhananand, who insulted Chanakya or Kautilya and who will be overthrown by Chandragupta Maurya. But at this point of time they wanted to attack, Alexander and his army wanted to attack Magadhan Empire, but there will be a mutiny in the troop. And why this mutiny will happen? There are few reasons for this mutiny to happen. First and foremost, they are out for 10 years, almost 10 years they are out, so they are war weary. They are now fed up with the war. That's one thing. Second reason, if you see, they are facing a lot of heat in India, the scorching heat. They are not apt or adaptable enough to this sort of climate. Okay, so that is something which is not in favor of the troops. Number 3, if you see, they're diseased in India. They are not finding it easy because again of the climate change and all those things. It's not easy for them to stay here. That's also a problem. With this, they are also homesick, as I've already said you. From 10 years they are away from their home. So this is also a reason. And lastly, most important reason was the Magadhan army. Yes, the Magadh army. This was a very big reason, because it was said at that time Magadhans has very huge army. Whether it's the elephants, whether it's the horses, whether it's the persons on foot, the military on foot, it was a very huge army. And these all the regions combined together for this troop mutiny, and it forced Alexander the Great to return back. Okay, and while he will be returning back, there will be small battles that he will be facing with the tribes who had the fight when he was coming towards India. He will again face all those battles there, and then you will also see that he will in the Gedrosian desert he will suffer heavy losses from the harsh conditions also. And the time in 323 BC, when they will reach Babylon, by that time Alexander the Great will be very sick, and unfortunately he will die, and his wish to conquer the world will remain as a wish only. Okay, let's see about the administration and governance at that time. The satrapies, the provinces, satrapies or the provinces. Alexander left satraps. Satraps means the governors, and the satrapies means the provinces, and military commanders to rule conquered territories. When he was returning back, he will give some of the areas conquered to Porus, some of the areas conquered to Anbi, and the other areas he will appoint his own governor. And if you remember, there will be one of his governor in the northwest India. His name will be Seleucus Nicator, and this Seleucus Nicator, guys, will form Seleucid Empire. This will also be there. We will see this in the next class. Greek administrative control was brief after Alexander's death in 323 BC. Local powers will quickly reassert themselves, and Mauryan Empire will also observe whatever the regions were conquered by Alexander the Great. Opening of the land routes, the invasion established 4 distinct routes between India and the west, 3 by land and 1 by sea. This is what was done because of this Alexander's invasion. These routes paved the way for Greek merchants and craftsmen to establish contact with India. So because of that invasion, the trades have also boomed. Alexander's conquest helped connect India to ease early Silk Road trade networks, facilitating the movement of goods between east and west, and also the trade routes. Hellenistic culture hybridized with Iranian traditions. Though there was already this Persian traditions and Indian tradition, and now a new confluence will come of the Greek culture and Greek traditions as well. One thing to note down, the naval expedition led by Nearchus, who was Alexander's admiral, explored the sea route from the Indus Delta to the Persian Gulf. So please remember Nearchus. Okay, and his knowledge of maritime routes that would later become vital for Indo-Mediterranean trade. While we are talking about the economic exchange and commercial activities, Greeks were introduced to Indian luxury items including precious stones, pearls, spices, textiles and exotic animals, which became highly sought after in West, and the invasion exposed Indians to Greek coinage system, while Greeks became familiar with the punch-marked coins of India. These punch-marked coins of India were the features of the Mahajanpadas. Please remember that, okay? So every Mahajanpada had their different punch-marked coins. This exchange influenced later Indo-Greek monetary system as well. The monetary influence, Greek monetary concepts influenced later Indian coinage, particularly visible in the coins of Indo-Greek kingdoms and Kushanas, and we'll also see this after the Alexander the Great, particularly with the Seleucid Empire, the trade and the culture, Hellenistic culture, this will increase in a way. This you can see, this is the empire of Alexander the Great of at that time, and it contains the northwestern part of India. Okay, so this is something to keep in mind. And the cultural exchange that happened at that time, let's see a bit about the Greco-Buddhist art or the Gandhara school. The most notable cultural synthesis that happened, emergence of Greco-Buddhist art, especially in Gandhara region, that is modern day Pakistan and Afghanistan. This art form combined Greek artistic technique such as the realistic human anatomy, drapery and facial expressions. We are going to see this in the statues so that you understand it more nicely. So if you see here, you see at the back there is a halo being created. You see if the hair, if you are seeing it, is very properly knitted. If you see the cloth that is being used, this robe is having drapes, this drapery system. All this was the feature of the Gandhara school, which was the confluence of the Indian and the Greco-Romans. Buddha was depicted in human form with Hellenistic features. such as wavy hair and naturalistic body. Greek motifs and styles including the use of marble and stone carving were integrated, and the fusion influenced Buddhist art across Asia, spreading to Central Asia as well. If you see few of the features here, if you see the hairstyle, okay, the very distinctive hairstyle here. If you see the nose, pointed noses are made. You see the body, masculine body is presented here. So all these things were very distinctive features here. If you see the cloth, okay, this drapery that is done on the cloth. So these are the very distinctive features that you see were present of the Gandhara school. Greek architectural elements influence Indian temples and stupa designs visible in the use of columns, capitals and decorative motifs inspired by the Hellenistic style. If you see this pillar, this is of Egypt, this again is of Persia, this the very famous Vaisali Stambha of Asoka, this is from India obviously, and this you see of Greece, column from the temple of Zeus. So this you can see had a confluence on each other and inspired each other with these traditions, and religious and philosophical exchanges were also there. Greek patronage helped Buddhism flourish and spread beyond India, contributing to its transmission along the Silk Road. Greek and Indian philosophical traditions influence each other, and we'll also see the exchange enriched both tradition and contributed to the development of Indian intellectual thoughts. The Greek invasions of India catalyzed a rich cultural exchange that transformed Indian art, religion, philosophy and trade. The fusion of Greek and Indian tradition created enduring legacies visible in the Greco-Buddhist art and the spread of Buddhism, which shaped the cultural and intellectual history of the regions for centuries. Okay, so let's see some of the questions. Which one of the following rulers is associated with the Buddhist text Milinda Panhu? So the correct answer here is Menander I or Milind. This is what he was called. You can pause here and see the explanation. The next question: the Indo-Greek coins are significant in Indian history because they had bilingual inscriptions. Yes, Kharoshti sometimes the Brahmi script, and as well as Greek was used here. Okay, let's see the next question. Which dynasty was ruling over North India at the time of Alexander's invasion? I have told you very nicely, Dhananand or the Nanda dynasty at that time was ruling. What was the major cultural impact of the Indo-Greek rule in India? Development of Gandhara school of art is something which was the major impact. And last but not the least, we are having to see the statements relating to Menander I. He was originally a king of Bactria. Yes. He is the only Indo-Greek king widely mentioned in the Indian literature. Yes. He was converted to Buddhism and his relics were enshrined in stupas. This is something can be true or not. Okay, but let's see. Menander I was originally a king of Bactria, is the most celebrated Indo-Greek king in Indian sources, and according to Buddhist tradition converted to Buddhism with his relics enshrined in stupas after his death. So 1, 2 and 3 all are correct, and you can be correct if you are preparing for UPSC, TSPSC, APPSC exam. This is the chance for you to go for the mentorship, one-on-one live mentorship with Deepika ma'am, who's having 20 plus years of experience. She's our mentor event, so you can learn a lot from her, and this can shorten your journey from an aspirant to administrative officer. So don't delay, call on the numbers given below to inquire for more, and we'll meet again. But for that you need to subscribe and comment. Thank you so much.